on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. I am here today to talk to you about Land of the Living Dead by George A. Romero. This is a double feature. This has Dawn of the Dead from Zack Snyder and James Gunn, which is a remake of another George A. Romero movie from the 70s, I think. But specifically, I'm talking about the other movie on this double feature, Land of the Living Dead. This is a movie that exists. Now, first, I guess I should say, I've only seen 4 zombie movies total, I think. There was the original Night of the Living Dead, there is the Dawn of the Dead remake, there is Land of the Living Dead, and then there's Zombieland. And Zombieland is kind of a subversion of the zombie movie formula, so I almost don't even want to count that. But of the 4 movies that I have seen, this is probably my least favorite. And I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not. This has a few actors in it that you will recognize. Dennis Hopper is in it, and you hear about Dennis Hopper being ashamed of being in the Mario movie from the late 80s, and honestly, if I had to take that movie or this movie, I would take Mario any day of the week. I'd rather watch that 10,000 times than watch this movie again. This also has the guy from The Mentalist, which is a show I have not seen 10 seconds of The Mentalist, but it was really distracting for me seeing that guy here because that is the only thing that I know him from. So seeing him here killing zombies and being like your Clint Eastwood type character, sort of, that was really weird for me. I kept thinking, what is The Mentalist doing in this movie? And that's not fair of me. Actors are able to be in multiple things. They're able to have more than one role in their career, but it was still really weird for me looking at him saying, that's The Mentalist. He needs to go back to being in The Mentalist. So that was unfair of me, but it is what it is. This also had, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, John Leguizamo. He's also in the Super Mario movie, and he's alright here. So the basic premise of this, I heard someone say it's kind of like the movie The Titanic, but with zombies. It's not on a ship, but it's in this little boxed-in area in a big city, maybe New York, and you've got all the rich and wealthy people. They live in this skyscraper, and they're basically pretending that the zombie problem doesn't exist. And then all the poor people, they live outside of the skyscraper, and they're eating rats, and they're all diseased and sick and dying, and it's kind of like Titanic. There's 2 classes, one at the very bottom and one at the very top, and there is no middle ground at all. And that's an interesting idea. Also, starting your movie where the zombie apocalypse has already been going on for a good little while, that's an interesting idea. Almost every other zombie movie that you see is going to start with the zombie apocalypse slowly beginning at the beginning. Night of the Living Dead, and Dawn of the Dead, both of them, the zombie apocalypse begins your movie. And Zombieland, also, you get to see the beginning of it, and then you cut forward a little bit as it's been going on for a little while. But this actually has a civilization attempting to be built, and I really like that idea. I don't think that's something that's very common in zombie movies. Most of the time, it's a group of travelers, and they have crossbows and shotguns, and they're just walking on the road, and you see cars in the ditch and stuff, but you don't get to see much of a society being built after the fact. And this movie, at least, kind of tries to do that. I don't necessarily like a lot of what it does with this idea, but I like that it at least has that idea. Here is what I thought this movie was going to do. You have John Leguizamo, who is this bad boy. He smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day. He shoots people, asks questions later. And then you have the Mentalist, who is also kind of a bad butt, but he's your Captain America White Knight type. And both of them are out there in the trenches getting their hands dirty. They're going on supply runs for the civilization that you'll see. And I really like the way that that's introduced, because we start with all of these people out there, and they've got all these weapons and tanks and Hummers and stuff, and then you don't find out that there is a society of people until 15-20 minutes into the movie. And I like the way that that is given to us. We don't start saying, okay, society back home, they're counting on us to bring all these bagels to them. You slowly find out, oh, okay, there's a society, and these guys are part of that. That's kind of cool. I like the way that they introduce that information to us. And so I thought these 2 characters, they do not like each other at all. Like, as soon as they start interacting with each other, they are just in each other's faces. You think that they're about to get in a fight right then and there, and they hate each other throughout the entire movie. I thought what we were going to see was these 2 guys hate each other, and then for whatever reason, they are going to have to team up with each other. Maybe everyone from both of their groups dies, and then they are stuck in the middle of an island full of zombies or something like that, and then they have to team up to fight all the zombies. Or everyone back back home in the city is in danger. And these two both have someone that they love in the city, and so they have to run back. Even though they don't like each other, they have to team up with each other to save everyone that they love back home. Something like that. I think that would have been really cool. That's not what we get here. What we get here is a little difficult to explain. I'll do my best. But Dennis Hopper, he is basically in charge of everything in this city, and he is corrupt. He's got John Leguizamo killing people that I guess are opposed to Dennis Hopper, and then taking them out and dumping their bodies outside of the city. And so John Leguizamo, he is building up all this money that Dennis Hopper is paying him, and then he wants to buy a nice little house somewhere in the skyscraper. And Dennis Hopper does not like that. He says, no, you don't belong up here, you belong out there with all the other awful, filthy, poor people. And that's, paraphrasing his words, not mine. And so John Leguizamo says, okay, fine. Dennis Hopper tries to have him killed because John Leguizamo threatens to blackmail him, and then John Leguizamo escapes, and then he goes out and says, okay, you're going to pay me $5 million or else I'm going to go tell everyone about what you do. And it's really bizarre because outside of the city, what good is $5 million? I don't know the answer to that. At one point, Dennis Hopper, he's packing all these bags of money, and then he's shooting someone else because he's taking some of that guy's money, I think, and why? Why are you taking money with you? Zombies are not going to be accepting your money, which I will get to the zombies in this in a little bit. But anyway, the premise of this is that the mentalist, he actually wants to get out. He doesn't want a room in the skyscraper. He wants to go and move to Canada. And for whatever reason, Dennis Hopper doesn't want him to do that. At one point, he brings Dennis Hopper brings the mentalist up, and he says, listen, John Leguizamo, he stole a truck of mine. I need you to go and get it back. And then the mentalist is like, oh, okay, well, it just so happens I wanted to leave and my car is gone. And Dennis Hopper says, oh, well, you're a pretty popular guy. So it's implied that Dennis Hopper didn't want the mentalist to leave town. Why? You're a popular guy is not a good enough reason. I need to know why he doesn't want the mentalist to leave. Maybe it's so that all the rich people can kind of continue to be the upper class. If all the poor people decide to go and move to Canada, then all the rich people living in the skyscraper, they're not going to have anyone to bring supplies to them. Maybe that's what it is. That's actually a really good explanation for why he doesn't want the mentalist to leave. There are lots of people to go on supply runs, so I don't know why he specifically needs the mentalist here to do this, but maybe he thinks if this guy leaves, all these other guys aren't going to want to do this, and we need these guys doing this so that we can continue to live in a lap of luxury. That's a really fantastic explanation. I'm assuming that's what it is. The movie doesn't tell you that, though. But anyway, he tells the mentalist, I need you to go and bring John Leguizamo back to me and this truck that he stole. And so the mentalist is like, okay, if I do this, then I want my friends to come with me, and then I want to escape. I don't want to be here anymore. Dennis Hopper says, okay, fine. Meanwhile, while all of that is going on, the zombies in this movie are kind of intelligent, which is different than any other zombie movie that I've seen. I know there was a movie about 10-ish years ago called Warm Bodies that basically zombies were unintelligent like your typical zombies, but then there's one guy who is slowly starting to develop intelligence and he falls for this human. That is the only other movie I can think of that have non-mindless zombies. And that's, another subversion on the zombie trope, so I almost don't want to count it. With this, literally the thing that opens our movie is a group of zombies under this small little pavilion thing, and they are playing instruments like they were part of a band. And one of them has, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the little swirl thing. He has one of those, and another one has, I think, like a violin type. I don't know. I don't know instruments, guys. But anyway, they're not doing a good job playing the instruments. Like the one that has the little swirl thing, he's just like, brr, and so I'm sure you guys enjoyed that. But they're not doing a good job playing the instruments, but you can tell that there's something in them that remembers their former lives as humans. There's one guy here, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Terry Crews, like his build, and he's bald, and he's kind of got a little goatee there, so he kind of reminds me of Terry Crews. I don't think that they got Terry Crews to be the leader of the zombies here, but I guess he worked at a gas station, because at one point, one of the supply people, they step on the little bell thing that you drive over when you're at a gas station, and then he hears that, so he grabs the gas pump, and then he's looking around for a car, and that's, I guess, maybe an interesting idea. I think the only reason they did that here is so that the zombies can have their own agency, and they can eventually bring chaos into the city. I don't think that George Romero actually had something to say about what if the zombies are a little bit intelligent. You know what? I completely forgot about Hancock. That kind of has zombies in it, too. Or not. Wow. Not Hancock, the other Will Smith movie. I Am Legend. Guys, wow. There's I Am Legend, Omega Man, and Last Man on Earth. I have seen all of those. Completely forgot about those because I, just didn't think of them as zombie movies. And spoilers, but I Am Legend does have intelligent zombies also. So I forgot about that. And these guys in Land of the Living Dead are kind of like the zombies in I Am Legend in that they kind of have their own society going on also, but this movie doesn't do anything with that. I know a lot of people really hated the ending of I Am Legend, and I haven't seen it in probably 10 years, but if I had to pick a movie to watch, I would probably pick I Am Legend. I think it handles the idea of intelligent zombies a little better than this does, because from the very beginning we know that these zombies are capable of more intelligence than just roving around looking for brains to eat. They kind of are holding on to their old human lives, which is an interesting idea, but like I say, the movie doesn't really do anything with it. These guys eventually, they get mad that the humans are hunting them down, so they go after the humans, and they are bringing weapons with them, sort of. Like at one point, the guy that's leading the zombies, he's got this jackhammer drill type thing, and he's using it on the ground, and then he's also dragging it, and so whenever it gets unplugged, he's acting confused, like, why isn't this working anymore? So they're not as intelligent as humans, but they do have some rudimentary grasp on how things work. And they invade the city, and then meanwhile, you've got the Mentalist hunting down John Leguizamo, and then when he gets to John Leguizamo, he's able to pull John Leguizamo out of the Hummer that he has, and then he says, okay, I'm taking this back to the city, and John Leguizamo basically says, okay, cool, see you later. And there's no conflict there at all. Like I said, I think you could have made a good movie out of this if you had focused on those two guys. If you had focused on them working together and coming to like each other a little bit more, I think that would have been really cool. But they don't do that. These two characters barely interact with each other, and I think that's a huge problem. You've got all these other characters in the movie that don't really do that much. Dennis Hopper is the closest thing to a bad guy that this movie has, and he is pretty bad, but he doesn't get to do that much, other than sends the Mentalist out to capture John Leguizamo, which he doesn't really do. So the Mentalist and his friends, they come back to the city, and then they kill some of the zombies, and they kill some humans who are about to be eaten by zombies, and then there's still like half the zombies that invaded the city, and then the Mentalist is like, no, they're just looking for a home, just like us. Are you kidding me? You have spent your entire adult life hunting down zombies, I'm assuming, and now you're just deciding, no, it's okay, they're not a threat to us. These guys invaded your city and killed many innocents. Now, they were killing the rich people, and I guess we're not meant to feel sorry for the rich people, but the rich people are still innocents. The only one in this who died who was not innocent was John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper, obviously, is kind of the evil guy, and then John Leguizamo, he does some bad stuff, and then he gets his comeuppance also, because he was out killing people for Dennis Hopper. They both get their comeuppance in the end, but these zombies killed a whole lot of people, and now the Mentalist is saying, it's okay, they're just looking for a home, just like us. I don't think that works. I'm sorry. You've also got this prostitute in the movie. She is thrown into a zombie fight ring where they have these two zombies, and then they will paint one of them red and paint one of them blue, and then people will bet on that, bet on who will win. That's kind of a cool idea, except why would you even risk bringing zombies into the city? That just seems like a really bad idea. But then Dennis Hopper ordered for this prostitute to be thrown in the ring, and I missed the explanation for why he did that, and I can't imagine that it was a satisfying explanation anyway, but then she teams up with the Mentalist and his buddy to go on their little adventure, and they don't really do anything with that either. It kind of seems like they are hinting at a relationship between her and the Mentalist, and they do kind of have a platonic relationship, and not every movie has to have a romantic relationship, but I don't know why she's in this movie, because if you're looking for platonic relationships, you've also got his friend who he knows from before the movie begins, and you could have done more with these two being friends, or you could have done more with the Mentalist and John Leguizamo. I keep coming back to that, but I think there would have been something really interesting there, because the prostitute, there's not really much to her character other than, I was a prostitute and I'm really good with a gun. There's not much there, so I don't know why they put her here, and it does seem like they're kind of hinting at a relationship, a romantic one, but then they don't actually do it. There is so much to unpack with this movie that I'm probably not going to be able to get into. Lots of really weird stuff about classism, some of which I think is interesting, some of which stay away from that. bad. Don't do any of that. Dennis Hopper, his servant, is a black guy, and that seems very racially insensitive. Kind of seems like it's harkening back to Gone with the Wind and the Civil War era, and I don't like that. Don't do that. I think you could have just as easily had a white guy who is his butler, and I think it would have been fine. I don't think that you would have really had a different movie at all, and it doesn't seem like that George A. Romero is actually trying to make a commentary on that. I think it's just a very unfortunate coincidence, I hope. But anyway, there's a lot about this movie, some of which does work, I think. I like the idea of the humans trying to build a society long after the zombie apocalypse has started. I don't hate the idea of intelligent zombies. I just wish that a better story was revolving around some of these elements in this movie. So those are my thoughts on Land of the Living Dead. I hope that you guys liked this review, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back next week with some more videos. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.